Hello everyone. Hope you all are feeling better than I am today. We do have a fun PvP on the way though, so hopefully we can just get into it. Get some adrenaline pumping, you know, forget the sickness. On the bottom right we have DisK. Top left it is MaNa. So it's the European Open Cup, you know, what do you expect? A lot of PvPs, right? Fortunately on this channel we do like the PvPs, don't we? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Seriously, though. I enjoy them. So, a lot of mind games go into the matchup, right? Not exactly sure what mind games went into this one. I see that there is a pylon over there for MaNa being hidden, so at least that much. Both players opting for that high ground 2-gate. PvP didn't seem to change all that much. Sorry, with the patch, it's going to be very frequent pauses and mutes and hiccups and all that. Anyways, it didn't seem to change all that much as far as the patch. The most significant change actually might have been the sentry build time, which now makes it easier, a little bit faster to go for a scout, to actually get the sentry out. But you know, when I say significant, I don't even really mean significant. I just mean it's the most fascinating difference of the patch. The Disruptor nerf has affected this matchup, but since they both get affected, it's always like, well, what does that really mean? And then otherwise, really the maps, as we were expecting, they certainly came true. In Katowice, the maps really playing the bigger part as to what difference there is between 4 weeks ago and currently in any matchup. So for this matchup, less of those ramps at the natural, right? So less of those 1-gate expands, let me block your nexus, no, I'm going to block your nexus, you know, that type of thing. So it actually gets a little bit more simple, but we still have some of those maps in the map pool. So that might play an appearance. I don't know what they chose for this particular best of 3. And PvP in general is still a very complicated matchup with a lot of twists and turns. But we can see here on Neo Humanity, we're really getting one of the more basic PvPs that you can get. DisK did opt for, I think, a 2-stalker opener, but then into 2 sentries, as opposed to MaNa going for stalker, sentry, stalker, sentry. His hallucination was faster. He was able to know that he is A-okay. Apparently about, like, literally 15 seconds faster is my guess for when DisK's Hallucinate Phoenix finally gets across the map. They both see that it's in fact Twilight Council versus Twilight Council. MaNa might have been able to get a more confident chrono on his economy, for instance. Might have been the biggest difference, and I think that's exactly what's happened. That's why he suddenly jumped up about 3 probes. And whereas DisK actually might have chronoed his blink. In fact, yes. So he chronoed his blink. He's actually doing another chrono. That's going to be scouted, which I always say is a little bit of a bummer. Just that kind of does reveal the intentions, right? So DisK is going to try and get faster blink to pressure the third base, which he figures has got to be 100% on the way. There's not really many other things that come off a 2-base Twilight Council build like this. There's rarely a 2-base like all in. If you're going to try and wait for like a robo, that's going to be a long time waiting, right? It just, when you set up like this, it's going to go to third base. And the question is how fast that third base. The question is how much economy on that third base. So really just how much you chrono your probes and how much you actually warp in units. So that would be one of the bigger differences between these two guys, is maybe DisK goes for more warp-ins and MaNa for a few less. In this case, DisK did go for a couple more stalker warp-ins. MaNa stuck into adepts actually, so similar number of units, just different places. Slightly different composition, and DisK with that most likely guaranteed map control with a bit of faster blink since he chronoed it so many times, does opt to go for a much faster third base than MaNa, who played it, I think, very safe, having scouted what he did. It looks like he said, I'll delay my third nexus, kind of taking away the power of your faster blink. And then by the time you do try to make a move, I'm going to have my own blink. And the shield battery is helping out as well. Guardian shields for both players. I'm actually a little surprised DisK is continuing to do this. This is clearly not going to go very well for him. The recall coming in way too late as well. And I think that might just do it. MaNa with the 2 adepts was a really, really good move there, right? No doubt about that. That's actually the winning move. 9 probes go down. Oh, God. Sorry, 9 probes go down, and DisK just lost a significant portion of his army. Failing when casting EPT weekly with COVID because such a passion lord. Honestly, I didn't know what else to do. It's actually, I'll talk a little bit about my my lost in space feeling, but obviously it'll be a little less entertaining since we're on a 2-minute delay. But this game does seem like it's going to be just falling. It's collapsing, basically. DisK, he kind of got behind, actually, with basically the first chrono of the Twilight Council. And unfortunately, while there's still so many other things in a StarCraft 2 game that can make or break whether you lose or not, the fact those adepts got in, right, that was just, that really sealed it shut. So, you know, if the adepts don't get in and they don't kill that many probes, DisK has a faster third nexus compared to being behind 3 or 4 workers. That's probably going to make up for it right then and there. But then the adepts did get in because MaNa did play that gamble. Gamble's too big of a word for that. He said, I'm pretty sure I'll defend on 2 bases, no problem. I'll hold off on my third. My 2 adepts will get warped in. That will leave me a little bit on the weaker side as army supply goes, but I'm defending 2 bases, not 3. I got a shield battery. That's not an issue. The 2 adepts will probably get into him because he has to come and do something to me. He has to make sure that his third base stays ahead of mine, so he's going to definitely move out. The adepts are definitely going to move in. Whether or not the adepts kill 4 or 9 probes, that's something that MaNa can't exactly predict, but he probably figured something like that would happen. The way that worked out probably is how MaNa envisioned it in his brain, and it was just more successful than he envisioned. So really small, you know, unfortunately small detail that does put pressure on DisK are the chronos, and that came from that slightly faster hallucination with the slightly faster sentry opener. And you know, when you break it down to these really small details, PvP can sound like one heck of a headache, right? It's like, what? Just because of this tiny little thing, I fell behind? Yeah, but I would say that it usually doesn't just end right then and there, right? It just the depths really did too much. Yeah, guys, I officially have COVID. My first test, there was a very faint line. I was like, okay, this says faint line still counts. So I did a second test, and it was a little more, but still a very faint line. But even a faint line means that I have it. So finally got to me. You know, it's very possible I had COVID previously and didn't know about it, didn't get tested, because it was, what's the word? Without symptoms. Yeah, I just don't know. I did have to do a decent amount of COVID testing traveling in 2021. And then even in 2022, actually, TSL made us do a COVID test every day. Adavita made us do a COVID test. So, I mean, I've definitely been tested whenever I've been sick. Whenever I was around someone who had COVID, I got the tests in 2020. And I just seemingly had dodged it, but you never know, right? You know, weeks at a time where I don't have any symptoms, I'm not getting tested. But as far as I know, this is the first time I'm getting it. It's certainly the first time that I've felt sick and had a positive COVID test. So there you go. And right now it is exactly what you, I guess, would hear about COVID, even though COVID can be literally anything and everything symptom-wise. You know, the most prevalent is the coughing. That was well timed. The coughing and actually some chest pain. Game number 2, by the way, top left MaNa, bottom right DisK. Yeah, I never really. I was having some coughing, but you know, with what's the word? With congestion, like, you know, phlegm. Sometimes that can turn into a cough, but especially when I started feeling like a chest pain, you know, and initially being worried, you know, like I'm having a heart attack. It wasn't a heart attack, just, you know, spoiler alert. But I was like, oh, that can't be good. Like that's kind of a bad sign. So I got the test. Definitely my breathing capacity is lowered. If I try and take a big breath, it caps out. So, But it's not anything serious before anyone gets really worried, right? You talk about breathing problems, and that's probably one of the most worrying things you can think of. But it's not serious. It's not like I'm, then I would be freaking out, man. Then I wouldn't be casting. Right now, it's just an annoyance. It's just an annoying cough. It does not feel any more dangerous.
Apparently, you are doing something right, Captain.
Anything else I've dealt with? Thank you, Cuddle Bunny, for the 42 months. Good time watching a match with Barrett. Sorry to hear you're sick. Yeah, thank you. Can all matchups be decided by little things? Yeah, but because especially when it comes to let's see, when it comes to non-mirror matchups, the asymmetrical balance plays such a huge part, right? If Zerg gets it behind at a certain point, they're more likely to recover versus a Protoss or a Terran getting behind at a certain point. Ditto on a Terran getting behind at a certain point. After the 3CC is done, their mules can kick in. They can make a better recovery than a Protoss player can, you know, that type of thing. And as far as mirror matchups go, when you think of TVT, you can think of really small details that eventually snowball, like in some of the earlier pushes. And yeah, those sometimes end the game, 100%. But then TVT, I think of a lot of comeback mechanics with properly placed tanks, a little bit of turtling, Maru coming back from a 50 supply deficit. PvP, it happens really quick. It happens extraordinarily quick how fast you can start to fall behind. Speaking of which, actually, we do have one of these high grounds ramp bases. So we saw that MaNa was going to try and take a Nexus, was denied. DisK did not bother trying to take a Nexus, so we do already have this little PvP conundrum underway. Finally, that probe does get taken down. DisK letting that pylon finish, however, knows that this is going to be delayed nice and good for a very long time, and MaNa just kind of has to live with that. So actually got an unfortunate opener for MaNa, who just didn't get the Zealot by the looks of things. So that's kind of a bummer. The Stargate has to come down. DisK knows the Stargate's down. DisK will have defenses against the first Oracle. That's no problem. Second Oracle, we'll see what happens, because I do assume MaNa will even feel the need to go for a second Oracle. Could be wrong. But we'll wait a little while longer. See if he gets it with his 150 gas. Huh? Well, if it's only one Oracle, that really doesn't have a lot of shooting power. And he's going to be fairly far behind in the Nexus, but actually ahead in the workers. So probably got that chrono off in the Nexus from the get-go, actually. He's probably been chronoing his probes more often than DisK has. So what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. Yeah, TVT, it just feels like such a comeback matchup. PvP, it starts early, and its comeback mechanic, the Disruptor, doesn't come in until quite late into the matchup, so... For me, it is the matchup that has the most important small details, and that goes along with just how Protoss is designed, right? They're high-quality, low-quantity units, which I think creates some stronger snowball effects than if you have like a mass amount of units, I guess. I can kind of envision a ZVZ really depending on like Ling run buys. You have so many units to throw around, try and get good concaves with. I don't know. Now's not the time to be theorizing about what matchup is most difficult. I don't know, I think all the matchups are difficult, of course, but PvP, there's a lot going into it. Yeah, one thing I am for certain is just out of energy. Maybe, you know, I'm gonna say, especially as I can't formulate my thoughts too well right now, I'm gonna say a little bit of brain fog, you know, probably from being tired and just feeling like I could sleep at any given time. I think I slept 10 hours last night, like the day before last night, however you want to put it. And then yesterday, after 10 hours sleep, I went back to take a nap, which I think lasted 6 hours. And then I did something for 4 hours, then I went back to bed and slept for another 10 hours. So I've basically been like a cat, which is actually, you know, just really my my dream in life is to be a cat and just nap all the time, so. Truly living the dream, actually. What do we have going on? Well, we have DisK with a fairly solid attack this time around, but that shield battery is giving him some big problems, especially because he's gonna have an overcharge in just 1 second. Actually, MaNa really needs that overcharge, and currently, there we go, gets the overcharge in, but that's a lot of stalkers though for DisK. Not quite one-shotting the stalkers, but the warp-ins aren't looking so hot there. The shield battery overcharge, I think it was a little bit too late. MaNa got some damage done with his Oracle, but as far as dealing with this Stalker attack, that was complicated. The probes had to be pulled, which fortunately did the trick. DisK didn't have fast reinforcements, and with a limited number of Stalkers, probe pull is pretty effective. MaNa's probe pull not really costing him all that many probes by the looks of it either. He's still up by about 6, because he also did some damage, I think, with his Oracle on the side of the map. And, well, he definitely needs another shield battery. That's why he's trying to get one right now. Also trying to get some static defense. He knows the stalker counts were very worrisome. He can pull the probes again to try and help out, but that shield battery would be the biggest boon to his defense. And finally, it finishes up. Once again, probes have been pulled. They're just a little bit to help out. Immortal is going to come through here, and that Big Daddy Immortal is going to be what truly saves MaNa's life on the third base. More probes went down at the third of DisK, as he had not gotten a shield battery in the actual mineral line. So DisK is still very committed. He's gotten his own mortal on the front lines, but I think he's up against another shield battery overcharge. And while that is slightly less effective than it was pre-patch, that's probably still going to be good enough. A couple of Zealots being warped in from MaNa are not only cheap, as he has gas-starved, but it also is going to be big damage soakers. There we go, big damage soakers. So don't mind that at all. Obviously, they're going to struggle to actually do damage, and currently they are struggling to, you know, punish DisK for trying to snipe this Nexus. So MaNa's trying to get his actual projectile units, his range units, over to a place where they can protect the Nexus, but almost lost his Immortal for it. Actually just sniped DisK's Immortal though, so this is looking tougher and tougher for DisK. He's gonna grab the Immortal, maybe, no, he didn't actually grab it, finally grabs it, but the second Immortal getting some nasty shots off. At the same time, the Stalker numbers of MaNa stayed fairly healthy. 3 shield batteries total helping out there as well, and DisK's aggression has not won him the game, but it looks like it has given him a possible comeback opportunity. Behind all that aggression, he was frantically rebuilding probes, now up by 6. As far as the mineral income, that doesn't maybe matter a whole lot, since they're both going to be pretty much equal on probes on minerals. But in terms of getting the gases up, right? 6 extra probes, 2 extra gas geysers actually saturated. That's actually the difference right now. So DisK is going to have the potential to go not just into charge, of course, which he is trying to get his way to, but also add on some Archons and try and do a bust in that way. Or anything gas intensive, which I guess could include disruptors too. But disruptors might be a little too far away, just the time invested into getting the robotics bay and a disruptor out. And then 1 disruptor is usually not all that helpful. It's more like 3 or 4 helpful. Looks like DisK might have been overly aggressive. Oh, nice snipe on the Oracle at least. But it looks like he might have been overly aggressive. That run into the natural that forced MaNa's recall just got punished big time. Ran back home with 4 left over. I guess was reinforcing that entire time, so it's not too bad on the army supply at all. And actually DisK has a much faster +2. MaNa's +1 not even done. So this game has actually kind of stabilized. And if DisK does go up into Archons, there you go, Templar Archives on the way, I mean, he could have a really nasty +2 attack. MaNa could get to the same exact units, but he'd have less upgrades, and he would have overall less gas to invest into Archons. He just never went up to 6 gases. In fact, he took off gas on the main, the natural, so that would be a problem. His other option would be going to disruptors, but again, he'd have to be already on it. He'd have to be going 2, and he needs more disruptors than just 1 or 2 to potentially beat back DisK's very very tough +2 attack. Now it's MaNa's turn to perhaps be overly aggressive into DisK's natural, forces the recall. Zealots go for the sandwich, locking him in on that ramp, getting all types of damage done, and MaNa is going to be losing a lot of his stalkers. He is target firing what he can. He's trying to trade out some stalkers, maybe trade out for some zealots, but it just isn't looking so hot. It has taken a long time to run these stalkers down, so MaNa at least looking for a second opportunity. I mean, it was a good idea theory-wise, but you could see that the numbers just weren't there for MaNa. He found no opening. He gave away basically all of his stalkers, and he is still, of course, behind in that +2. I don't think he ever went to a Templar Archives either, so he just straight up doesn't have charge. He doesn't have Archons. MaNa, he's just falling behind in this game. You know, it was not looking great being behind in upgrade, and then suddenly behind on economy. But even then, it didn't look all that different. It wasn't the most drastic income difference. Their fourth base is finishing around the same time. MaNa could have gotten his extra 2 gas geysers a bit faster, for sure. He definitely could have. And then the only problem then would have been that faster +2, which is definitely a problem. But, you know, defensive setup, defensive concave, couple of shield batteries, you know, that changes. Instead, he goes for a bit of a gambit. He goes for the mass stalker run by, hoping to buy time, cause chaos, and it just failed. Completely failed. And now DisK could not have a clearer runway. Like, everyone is telling him to go. Go, go, go. And I don't know what would stop him. This choke is a little intimidating. I give him that, but there is some area over here that is very abusive. And that's exactly where DisK is going. He's starting to transfer over into a robotics bay, get a dark shrine, starts up as +3, a lot of investments into something that's not here right now, so maybe this could give MaNa a chance to survive, but that 40 armor supply difference is saying nope. Even though the upgrades have actually evened up, there is no chance for MaNa. GG. No Gabe today. A couple of the common signups aren't here, because I don't think Clem's here today either. It is definitely more rare for Hero Marine not to sign up, but it is the off season, time to take vacation, time to chill. Especially for the competitors who were grinding and putting in the overtime leading up to Katowice. Myself included. So, yeah, I said I would talk about a little, you know, kind of just floating in space. So, haven't really put any thought into what I would like to do in the next few months. I spent all of my mental and physical energy preparing for Katowice and then performing Katowice. And even though I have had time afterwards to just ponder and think and energize, well, the sickness has kind of stopped me from energizing. Game number 3, bottom left MaNa, top right DisK. So, yeah, there's a couple of things I have to do to order the house, to order a house, to just get things in order, rather. I have to do my taxes and get prepared to move more than once, too, which is going to really suck. But then as to actually what to do with the stream schedule, especially while we wait for the StarCraft 2 season to begin again, I honestly don't know. I feel like right now I'm definitely leaning more towards doing very little StarCraft, actually. Taking an off season akin to a teacher or an athlete, I suppose. Except I definitely don't want to stop doing, you know, like all StarCraft. So I'm thinking I'll probably keep the Open Cup days Monday. I'll probably keep wine and cheese. And then I'll probably make Tuesday an evening stream of StarCraft where I do some sub replays as well as some casts. That's currently what I'm thinking. But for sub replays, I'm going to further limit how many are actually going to be cast. So Sorry in advance to those who really enjoy their replays being cast. Probably something like only one replay per sub. 2 if you're a tier 2 sub, something like that. But yeah, they just... I think they're very good for the people who actually submit, right? But as far as YouTube content, don't really make much YouTube content from it. And then as far as, I guess, fun for the whole stream, I think it's kind of, you know, average. Some people enjoy watching the antics of a non-professional game. Other people not so much. Find the cat. Yeah, that would keep us very busy. That'd be a 6th cat to take on the airplane when we travel. That sounds like a good idea. Speaking of cats, Hollow's being all needy. He's had plenty of opportunities to take naps with me and cuddle and be cute. The only thing I can say is that I have all been generally distracted. While I've been resting, I've also been playing a heck of a lot of Final Fantasy Final Bar, Theater Rhythm Final Bar. For those who don't have no idea what that is, it's a rhythm game with all the Final Fantasy songs, and I loved it on the 3DS, and then they actually released a new version of it just a couple of days ago for the Switch. So I have been addicted to that, basically. Having a completionist attitude, even though I don't enjoy all the games. Like trying to speed run through like 13, because I guess there's like some cool songs, but 13 overall kind of sucks. Anyways, so that's the only reason I can give that Apollo would be mad at me. I've been distracted. Sorry, there's been no talk about this game. We do have what looks to be another very macro-oriented PvP like the first one. I think one of the big differences might be the order again of when their sentries came out. But it looks like it is very similar, so that might not even be true. This actually could have been identical and I just wouldn't know about it. Shield battery in the natural, shield battery in the natural. That's the only thing I could think of that might be different, because otherwise probe count very similar, army count similar. Robo timing is fairly fast for DisK. That's not only something that's dissimilar to what MaNa is doing, what we're keeping an eye out for, and what MaNa's certainly keeping an eye out for. It's also just generally kind of fast in PvP. DisK, I mean, technically it could be wary of a dark shrine. His hallucination certainly is scouting everywhere, and MaNa is certainly no stranger to throwing down a dark shrine. So far, though, I mean, you can kind of count pylons at this point a little bit to determine if they have a hidden structure somewhere. Not that I think that's like, you know, it's always hard to say 100% what is happening in PvP, because they know that I know that they know that like they're if you know how to do a trick, they know you know how to do that trick, and you could be tricking them by tricking them, you know, like it just gets convoluted. But that would be one reason to get a faster robo than a third base robo. Basically what MaNa's doing, I'd say, is kind of the cleanest, but a little unsafe against someone who did prioritize a Dark Shrine, then third Nexus. But since MaNa didn't prioritize a Dark Shrine, his build is just cleaner looking to me. His third base, not any faster though. I mean, DisK third base actually much faster. So that might come into how many warp-ins happened. DisK opting for a couple of Adepts, but he is building an Immortal. MaNa did go for a few more Stalkers. His Robo, obviously having only just finished, will not be having an Immortal in the front lines anytime soon. 13 was the best FF game. Eve. Go away. I can't even right now. 2 Adepts of DisK were actually found out, so MaNa's Pylon might have seen him, or he just saw it with hallucination, not sure which one. But if he saw it with hallucination, it would actually not be that genius of a move to be like, well, the army's on the right side, the Adepts probably go to the left. It's like, if you were as well practiced as MaNa, you might have been able to figure that out as well. So that's probably what happened, and then MaNa dealt with both sides of a attack very well. Neither side had a lot of power to it, but the Adepts slip into a natural, boom, 8 probes go down. You get distracted by the Adepts, Stalkers, kill the shield battery, and then a couple of probes, and you're really annoyed. You know, whatever. So, yeah. That means that 2 Immortals are here for DisK. That's, you know, I was talking a lot about why get a faster Robo when I was talking about that Fear of the Dark Shrine, which is absolutely still a thing, but of course, you can just get Immortals, which also have that nice backbone to your army. Some discussion to be had about whether they're actually good, though. Now, here in this case, they're actually pretty good. Blink forward from DisK to grab some MaNa Warp Prism. Might not have been actually good enough. Well... okay, things happened too fast for my COVID brain to think through, but I think I'm still surprised by this, actually. Well, no, probe pull. Hold on. DisK still up 10 probes. Okay, maybe it's not game over. The reason I'm surprised that MaNa is even winning this is because his Disciples and the Immortals were so haphazard, right? Like, I was gonna say if he just instantly killed both Immortals, boom, one shot, then you know, this makes more sense to me, but he like two-shotted the first one, because he shot it, and then he shot the next one, and neither one died in one shot. And then the first one finally died, and the second one was out of range of the second shot, so it lived a lot longer. It tanked all those shots. They got a couple of shots themselves. I really thought that would have made MaNa's attack bad. DisK has +1, by the way. So yeah, why did... well... at the end of the day, DisK did also send a lot of his volleys on that Warp Prism, and while that took away the reinforcements, which is usually A+ worth it, it does also mean that you've just butted up against a lot of shots of your opponent. So I guess that did hurt him. But that probe pull seemed to have done the trick. The game looking relatively even as DisK does defend the main base Warp Prism harassment pretty okay. Pretty damn fine, actually. Defends the third base as well and has a faster fourth base on the way. All while, of course, Comfy on that faster +1, because it was substantially faster. MaNa significantly delayed his forge. That +1's only just now coming in. So MaNa is the one that was certainly in trouble, needed to do damage with that attack, and perhaps would have won the game if the Warp Prism hadn't been sniped. DisK choosing the right call at the right moment, and then having enough of those probes to pull... to say that this would inevitably benefit him. This would still go his way, even if it looked a little bit dicey for a few seconds. See, some strong opinions about Final Fantasies in chat. I enjoy most Final Fantasies. I love them. I love a few of those Final Fantasies. Certainly 1 or 2 of them are like top 5 favorite games of all time. I acknowledge their weaknesses, but I would say 6... I gotta say 7, don't I? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. Tactics. Yeah. Those are the ones I've played, and those are the ones that I think are great. Alright, yes. I said 7's great. It's not as great as everyone says it is, though, just to be clear. But you gotta admit, if enough people like it, there's something good about it, I suppose. So I still enjoy playing it. I just cringe every time Aerith comes on the screen. Ugh. We got ourselves a PvP macro game by the looks of things. 1-1 now done for MaNa as he went into double forge, made up for lost time. Still gonna be behind on that +2, but we'll, you know, eventually have 2-2, right? But DisK not really going to benefit a whole lot from upgrades if his plan is to focus on disruptors, right? Not to say that you want to completely forego upgrades, but certainly if you go into disruptors, there's a chance that you can. If you are the one that's behind, oh my god, nice first disruptor shot. And you said, well, disruptor's on my Hail Mary play, I'm not going to get any upgrades. That would be correct, wouldn't it? In this case, DisK isn't even behind. DisK is in fact ahead. He's ahead in army supply, he's ahead in upgrades for about 50 seconds, and he's ahead in technology because he has disruptors and his opponent does not. What MaNa could have, in an ideal scenario, one of which it was truly an even game, is he could either have a faster max out, or he could already be on his way to double robo production as well. But it's not an even game. DisK had garnered that lead with the upgrade, with the faster fourth base, while defending against a potentially problematic attack, and has rolled it all into a beautiful payout. Better army supply, better upgrades, better technology. Theoretically, he should win this game, but it can be difficult to crack a Protoss, all covered in sag defense and shield batteries and whatnot. DisK is opening up the opportunities with disruptors. MaNa playing with fire right there, but also opening it up by trying to go for a lot of multi-pronged attacks. DisK does not actually have a stronger economy. He took the map control for a second there, but was unable to break MaNa's back. And it's actually MaNa who has had a stronger economy. More workers, 13 workers ahead. That is actually mining still efficiently. Although soon to be very inefficiently as we near the 13-minute marker, main base naturally, and all that's going to disappear soon. So if MaNa wants to continue mining more than his opponent to play out that Zergy style of Protoss, one where you have more economy, more units, versus DisK's more tight, high-quality Protoss style with disruptors, then you're going to have to continue expanding. So MaNa expands not just once, but twice. 91 workers and still climbing, guys. MaNa is going to go for just the Zap Brannigan strategy. Just throw bodies at your opponent. They have a kill limit. Probably. Maybe. I don't know. DisK with some bad AI right there. Kind of blinked aggressively to grab maybe a observer or something. I'm actually not even sure. And turned really awkward for him. MaNa still needs to worry about disruptor shots, all right? So even though pound for pound with his upgrades now being done, his gateway army, holy shit, is great. If those disruptors hit, who the fuck cares if you have 3-3-3? No one. Disruptors certainly don't. So this is going to be a very difficult game. MaNa basically has to make sure to keep control on the map, lest he just lose the game overall. It's actually like playing versus Liberators at this point, too. Just constantly comparing this PvP to non-Protoss things. But as soon as DisK gets control over MaNa's side of the map, over his own chokes, I mean, what can MaNa even do? And we're actually seeing this problem right here, right now. MaNa could try and just reinforce and overwhelm, hoping the disruptors eventually run out of shots, which is possible. There's 6 of them, 5 in the front lines. Maybe you could get enough shots forced out that you could count that they are out of shots. You could, maybe, in a perfect world, but that is playing a very dangerous game. So MaNa would do much better if he had a concave, if he was the one forcing DisK to micromanage, be back on his side of the, oh my god, his side of the map, throwing out the disruptor balls desperately. Okay, there's a mistake from DisK, and then a second mistake from DisK. Oh, that turned all topsy-turvy. DisK, while dealing with some harassment on his 5th base, that was a killed... No, that actually wasn't a killed Nexus. So he had to cancel his Nexus, but he was dealing with it, obviously. His disruptors go forward. That's easily snipeable. Easy peasy. We saw that happen. Then he had hotkeyed one of his disruptors that were reinforcing that almost ran into his own stalker line. And it's just a good thing that DisK was paying that much attention, because he pulled that disruptor shot back. It meant that the disruptor shot wasn't a part of the actual fight, but it still was better than the alternative. But now DisK showing a greater bank, taking more efficient trades, and just having that technology benefit. It just seemed inevitable that he was going to win this game. It would require MaNa with an amazing fight to actually turn that around. And he did try, man. He definitely tried to take a hell of an amazing fight over here at the disruptor snipes. Over here, again, disruptors being shot down. DisK revealing some weakness, I suppose. But thanks to his larger bank, the resource trade is going better for him. Probably were even a little bit better before that last fight. I mean, it just means that MaNa is still in a lot of trouble. He got up his 5th base, but not his 6th. This base finally up again is also going to be denied again. And his probe count also took a hit. And like I had pointed out earlier, eventually he just isn't really mining from 78 probes. Gonna go into a little bit of a base trade. DisK has not really made a whole lot of disruptors. Only 3 of them are available. That recall's looking a little bit awkward. Shield battery overcharge not gonna last long enough, as you can see. MaNa's upgrades, remember, still playing a part in particularly battles like this. 3-3 against 3. Where are the disruptors? They're coming in on that right side. More are being made as DisK realizes this is starting to get a little bit too scary. Disruptors, plentiful number of them, right? 6 to 9 even. You could just park them around your bases. And there's no way that MaNa can really confidently do what he just did, run into the bases, take these fights. Not if you figure disruptors were close by, but these disruptors, 3 of them appeared on the front line, did enough damage to help out DisK, and now MaNa's attack force looking very, very small. He's going to recall the remnants of it. 4 of them will survive. DisK supply, it's currently telling the tale. I mean, it didn't even really come down to the disruptors, did it? It just came down to DisK being able to reinforce. As soon as he collected his army back together again, MaNa's chances went from, oh, hey, how about this, to, oh, okay, never mind. No, that wasn't even close. Just kidding. I'm getting a little bit of deja vu. Once again on this base, ton stack defense. MaNa's trying to get some run-bys going, too. This is exactly what it was 3 or 4 minutes ago. So DisK is still only on those original 4 bases. He is certainly mining out. If MaNa could take better fights right here, right now, maybe he could do this, but it's not happening. He can't even take the fights against his opponent's stalkers, much less when you add in those disruptor shots. MaNa's ambition to just overwhelm with pure gateway armies had some merits. If DisK had not taken some of those really good fights or had pinned MaNa against his own bases for as long as he did, you could see how DisK would be just wearing out at this point. He would be out of energy, he'd be out of income because he is still only on the original 4 bases. But even though DisK has been denied comfortable mining on a 5th for this entire almost 19-minute game, he has been the one taking better trades. He's always had that high technology option in his pocket. Disruptors making an appearance always force a different type of engagement. And then he was more often making MaNa stay on his side of the map than the other way around. Because if we look at the mini map for the last 7 minutes and we flip it so that red was on blue side much more often, I think this game is won by MaNa, actually. You can see how well MaNa is still fighting back, man. Going Super Saiyan at the last second like MaNa do. Kills every last disruptor but 1. And MaNa still thinks he's got a shot in this game. He's been down 40 supply the entire time I've been talking, I swear to God. I just was thinking that the game was going to end at some point, and then MaNa was like, well, just kill all the disruptors and make you second guess yourself. And I am second guessing myself, but MaNa should definitely be dead. He is actually hopping on 1 foot. Jesus Christ, just killed that last disruptor. With his, you know, he's a righty, and his right arm also got torn off, so he's holding his sword in his left hand on 1 foot, and he's saying, come at me. I got this. He is actually, what's his face from Monty Python? What the fuck? MaNa should be dead. His natural's dead. His 3rd base was killed. His 5th base has been hanging on for quite some time. That also means that it's starting to run out of minerals. But MaNa has stayed within 40 army supply of his opponent, taken down probably over 6 disruptors in the last 3 minutes, make that 7. And DisK is probably like, why the fuck would this guy die? What else do I have to do? I mean, at least he's denying any cheeky attempts at a base from MaNa on the bottom right side. MaNa grabbing a handful of probes is going to continue playing really boldly. The disruptors from downtown were too far downtown, man. They didn't actually connect. DisK's reinforcements not working out. And MaNa's going to get out of there. As if the door was opened for him. How is this happening? What is going on? Now with 30 army supply gap. I mean, it hasn't even really been about the upgrades for a while, right? Because it's been about disruptor snipes. It's been about finding DisK out of place. But of course, if disruptors are taken out of the equation, MaNa's upgrades are significantly better. He has a 3 upgrade lead because he has armor upgrades. I don't know what that means for kill shots, by the way. I have no idea, but you gotta assume that's gonna impact a pure stalker versus stalker battle. DisK does have 10 more stalkers, 13 more stalkers, back to 10 more stalkers, but I don't know what it's gonna look like if we ever get a huge concave. The disruptors are still playing a huge part. 6 of them in DisK's pocket, waiting for MaNa to try and jump forward. MaNa is once again forced to retreat back to his 4th, which has been replaced. Or is this his 3rd? This might have been his 3rd. I don't know, whatever. But he's still going, man. He's gonna snipe that disruptor. Hell yeah, he is. And it looks like DisK maybe just thought that there was something coming from behind. I'm actually not sure about that one. Maybe a misclick. Zealots and DTs that were guarding the bottom right base finally went for a run by, which MaNa is struggling to hold. The DTs in particular being obnoxious. Stalkers were recalled, and the DTs are able to blink out. And oh my god! Oh, MaNa is not going to be able to save this third base for the 5th or 6th time, but at least he took down some disruptors before he was forced to evacuate, and in his evacuation, he actually collects all of his stalkers again. It's a familiar scenario to 2 minutes ago, but now MaNa getting another base up is going to go for the snipe yet again. Good lord, 25 disruptors have died in this game. Yeah, MaNa's gotten this middle base up. Breaking the rock seems like a really bold thing to do, by the way. I'm not really sure he's the one that's in position to do this. I don't know, man. Thank you, Uncle Toby, for the 25 months. Go one-legged MaNa. One-legged, one-handed. Is he blind? He was close to it, man. DisK is mining long distance. He never got a 5th base up, guys. MaNa might be bringing this back. He was behind 60 supply at one point. The majority of that in army, at least 40 in army too. But this game is actually not even. I mean, it's favoring DisK. Okay, here's the thing. Theoretically, it favors DisK because he has 5 disruptors. But the way that MaNa has been killing them, I don't know. I feel like this is MaNa favored. Momentum-wise, it's MaNa favored. DisK is going to try and catch him out of position, kill some of the probes long distance mining on his opponent's side of the map, and then also open up the opportunity to hit this very ever so important base. Here comes perhaps the final engagement. MaNa thought he could go forward to snipe a disruptor and realized he couldn't, so he blinked back. That was the safer call. Both of them killing each other's probes. A single zealot from MaNa killing the probes of DisK. DisK interfering with this probe line. Forced to back away though, both respecting each other, both knowing that this game could be lost in the blink of an eye. DisK with 5 disruptors locked and loaded goes for the pylon. No more shield body overcharge. Not that it's saving you against the disruptors anyways, but it would have helped against the direct stalker battle. And now they're just gone. They're killed. Disruptors on the backside can't be chased after because most of them still have their shot. MaNa knows it, can't go for it. Now gonna have to give up not just a very necessary 5th base, but also his 3rd, which I guess was a little less necessary. It wasn't mining anymore. And here we go. It's base trade time, because of course it is. DisK has been poor for a very long time. He hasn't been really remaking his disruptors. None on the backside. Disruptors only with the main army, and it could become who kills the last building first? It actually could. MaNa, of course, ever wary of a surprise disruptor, eventually will figure out that there are no disruptors. Their robos have been taken down. Get rid of that Dark Shrine as well. Both players with observers. Just want to keep an eye on that in case something goes really wrong there. But the Dark Shrine gets killed. There's no DTs on the field, and we don't have to worry about that anymore. There we go. Dark Shrine's going to go down. Stalkers being split up right now as both players really realize this is it. This is a base race. DisK not splitting up his army so much, just trying to hide his probes, barely hidden away from MaNa's stalkers. MaNa trying to hide his probes, has enough for a pylon and an assimilator, but not for a nexus. DisK had enough for a nexus, but I think something just happened. Okay, no, he was building an assimilator, realized he could build a nexus, I think. Is what happened there. And all the buildings are going down, my dudes. My dudes, this is a real base race. This is an actual base race. Who will kill the last building first? MaNa with the split on his stalkers is a fantastic idea, but he doesn't know how much cash is in DisK's pocket. And DisK has opted not to go for a nexus, but rather to go for as many buildings as possible, which I think is the correct call, by the way. I think trying to save a nexus is a really difficult thing to do, but trying to go for the last building kill is easier for him than it is for MaNa, just with the amount of bank that they have. But I mean, they don't know that. You know, it's a big gamble for DisK. It's a huge gamble. He doesn't know if MaNa's banking farmed in minerals or not. But we are down to the last few buildings. DisK has one more pylon. That is it. He's leaving the disruptors back at home. MaNa knows that he has that one pylon, but he doesn't know about the... Well, no, he does, right? He does know about the second one. Okay, so it's 2 pylons, and he doesn't know how many more pylons could be built as well, so it's not like he can go and dive on those and kill them. He's got to take the direct fight, which DisK is more than welcome to take. Wait, right? He's got Disruptors, he's got Guardian Shield. The upgrades might not look good for him, but the Disruptors should be able to safeguard any problems he has. Should. Oh my god, the split though was pretty good. That was still a loss of Stalkers, and MaNa, I don't think is going to be winning the direct fight, not like he would want to, but he has to take it. It might come down to this. Oh, the Stalkers. 24 to 32, the blink forward there from DisK. MaNa's upgrades aren't going to save him here. The Disruptor shot also going out, and there you go. DisK takes game 3. Ay, ay, ay.